Narsimha is an incarnation that comes when there is a Rakshasa, Hiranyakashipu. For him, Vishnu means he's sitting with Shankha Chakra and Vaikuntha. And he has a son. And this son of his, Prahlada, for Prahlada, Vishnu is consciousness. Vishnu is love. Vishnu is everything in the universe. His father cannot wrap his head around this. He constrains Vishnu to a form. And his son is saying Vishnu is pure love. So there's a tussle. There's a tussle between, this is one of the most beautiful Avatara stories. Because there's a tussle between atheism and theism. There's a struggle the father is having to see beyond duality. For him, Vishnu is only a form. But here his boy is saying Vishnu is strength, Vishnu is weakness, Vishnu is love, Vishnu is everything in this universe. He cannot wrap his head around that. So finally he challenges his son after trying to kill him, after trying to dispose of the kid. He says, this Vishnu that you speak of, is he in the pillar? He says, I don't have the doubt. You have the doubt. No, check the pillar. So he strikes the pillar. And from this pillar, a form that he's never seen and never thought of in his imagination has emerged, which is a form that has a lion head and a human body.
There's a very cool assassination story here as well.
Oh yeah. And there is the world's best designer award, which should go to Hiranyakashipu for this, because he is one Rakshasa. To avoid death, he says, I should not die at the hands of a man. I should not die at the hands of an animal.
I think he goes through a penance.
Yes.
And he prays to
Brahma. Yes.
And he's successful with it. Brahma appears in front of him. And he asks Brahma that, can you give me immortality?
Yeah.
And Brahma says, no, but maybe you can ask for conditions related to your death.
Yeah. So Brahma says, I only don't have immortality. What I'll give you. So then he says, okay, my objective is what? I want to go past death. No. Death can happen at the hands of a human or an animal. So they can't kill me. Death can happen inside or outside. I should not die inside. I should not die outside. Death has to happen during the day or during the night. None of these should affect me. So he lists out all these conditions, thinking that he's oversmarted death. But when his death appears, it respects all his conditions. Beautiful aspect of Vishnu, any Devata for that matter, is you ask the most complicated asks. Your asks will be respected, but you'll still get whooped if your asking wasn't coming from the right place. So he comes in this beautiful but never seen before form of an animal and a human. It looks like, we call it Narasimha because Nara is human and Simha is lion. But the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Puranam which describes this says, Stambhe sabhayam na mrigam, it's not an animal, na manusham, it's not a human being. It's essentially what Vishnu is. It appears like it's this, but it's not this. That's the avatara. Oh, we're worshipping a boar. No. It appears like we're worshipping a boar, but we're worshipping something that is operating like a boar. Something that is operating like a lion. So it takes you into the essence of understanding that he is in these dualities, but he's beyond them. So in this case, Narsimha is one aspect of Vishnu that really talks about how he came because Prahlada was challenged. He came because Hiranyakashipu said, prove to me that your God is there. And Prahlada says he's there. So to reaffirm his bhakta's words, he says, I'll come. And he took one form, probably one of the only stories that we see where a form came just for the sake of one devotee. Because this devotee said, yeah, he's there, I know. So Narsimha is considered to be extraordinary. Again, Vishnu and astrology, Narsimha can remove extremely unfortunate things that are written for you. He can wipe them out. If somebody has an accident and you're worried about somebody's untimely death, immediate worship to Narsimha can cure them. Because Narsimha came like this. The story is telling you he worship him, he'll come like this. He didn't say, okay, I will come and then I will be born, I will sit in somebody's womb. No, that happens in other avatarams, but it doesn't happen with this. Because he says, you call me, I'll come. I'm right there. You just have to call.
So, do you know a Narsimha mantra?
Yes. And I've seen what Narsimha does to the body. It heats the body up. Because Narsimha is all about Agni Swarupa. It heats it up in a good way. You have to be able to receive it. And Narsimha sadhana, if you see even when serious upasakas of Narsimha, when they worship Narsimha, they'll place him in water. Because you need to be able to control that energy. You need to know how to hold that energy. Again, within Narsimha also, there is this understanding that he's a very intense form. Because when he goes to kill Hiranyakashipu, there is a Swarupam that we call as Ugra Narsimha. Ugra means his intense form. And you will see this in sculptures again and images where he takes out Hiranyakashipu's intestines and he's seated Hiranyakashipu on his lap. And he takes out his intestines and wears them as a mala. And you will see this in temples of Karnataka carved. It's beautiful, but it is scary. There is no doubt that it does instill some amount of fear, saying, oh my goodness. But the same image that is showing you all of this supposed gore is also showing you a baby Prahlada looking in great awe. So it's telling you that you don't have to fear if you are operating from that space of love. The same Narsimha will become calm for you.
This is what I love about being Hindu. It's so cool.
It is, and it's so democratic. It'll just allow you the freedom to just connect with whatever you want. The same Narsimha that's so fierce can become extremely gentle for you. Okay, no, I'm not able to connect to this energy. It's intense for me. Okay, there's a Rama, there is a Krishna, there is a Vitthala, there is a Matsya, there is a Kurma. You name it, it's there. It's about what you are ready for. Ultimately, these forms will also, like you said earlier, right? They will see what works for you best, and they will tailor make themselves and appear for you like that. So that of course extends to anything in the divine space, which is why in the Hanuman Chalisa also Tulsidas says, no, he says, Apana tejas samharo ape. He reduced his tejas because he knew it was too much for the world to take. Similarly, Vishnu also knows that, okay, for the world it may look like, oh, it's Ugra Narsimha, but as far as Prahlada is concerned, it's the father of the universe. My father is here. So this is Narsimha Avataram, which is a phenomenal avataram in itself. We could have a whole 6-day conversation around Narsimha and I wouldn't run out of things to say.
Is there stories related to Narsimha after Prahlad? There are.
Yes.
He appears again.
He remains in certain places. So there are a lot of kshetras. This is where the idea of kshetras also comes in. There are spaces where Narsimha is still said to roam. And one of them is the place, the sacred space in Andhra, which is called as Ahobilam. This is supposed to be the spot where he killed Hiranyakashipu. And Ahobilam is a forest. In Ahobilam, if you want to visit Narsimha's temples, there are 9 forms of Narsimha called Navanarasimha. The kind of experiences people have had, and this is also what makes us realize Hinduism is not only about Puranas and Itihasas and what happened there. It's about real time experiences that people are having now. In the context of Narsimha, there was a lady from Azerbaijan who had this dream, nowhere connected to India except that she fell in love with Krishna. But she has a dream late in her life in which Krishna says, come and serve me in the forest. And she lands up here in Hyderabad, insisting that she has to go to Ahobilam. And she meets some people who tell her, listen, you're a Krishna devotee, go to Vrindavan. She says, no way. He's not going to let me be in ease until I go to Ahobilam. She goes there, and if you go to Ahobilam, it's not that, oh, there are 5 steps and there's a temple. It's wilderness. The 9th Narsimha on top, you cannot access unless you are physically able and unless he allows you permission to come there. And such a woman, at a time when even the priest goes only once a month, Narsimha's star is Swati Nakshatram. On that day alone, the priest used to go there at that time. He wouldn't even go regularly. She said, I'll go stay in the caves, doesn't matter. And she stayed there. The kind of, if I read accounts of her life, and this happened about, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a decade or 2 back, the kind of experiences she had, people would hear her screaming late at night in her small little cave room. And then the next day they would ask her, what happened? Who are you screaming at? She said, oh, I was screaming at Narsimha because he said he'd come for dinner, but then he didn't come for dinner. So when he came, I threw the pans at him and said, get out, go eat somewhere else because you said you'll not eat with me. Makes you think, oh, I was thinking Narsimha is some extremely angry, unapproachable, intense God. But here is a woman shouting at him saying, you promised you'll come for dinner, but you didn't come. That is the love that's hidden in that form. And ultimately, when she was found lifeless, her head, there's a picture of it available online. Her head is fallen, her entire body is fallen on a chair where there's a Radha Krishna and a Narsimha behind that. That's how she left her body here. So these forms are essentially so deeply personal, you have to go beyond the layers. You have to go beyond saying that it's looking fierce for me. I don't understand. I don't understand it is still okay. It's too much for me. Rama and Krishna can also be fierce. We have this assumption of bracketing. No, Narsimha is too intense for me. Rama and Krishna is... Yes, you may connect more with one, but Rama can become fierce too. Krishna can become fierce, and they did during the wars respectively that they were in. Narsimha can also become gentle. The key to any of these is to remain in that sadhana long enough to say, how much can I allow myself to be picked up by you? So that's a long process. But testimony enough to say that it's possible for people.
If you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out these curated playlists that we've made especially for you related to the subject that was spoken about in this clip.